Boyd Sharpe and Jock Hiltz talking to you today from Scotia Bank Centre in Halifax, Nova Scotia. UFC Fight Night 54
is here! We're excited. I can't believe UFC is actually here. What are your thoughts, Boyd?
It's going to be a fantastic night. I mean, everybody was quote unquote excited about the UFC coming to town, but I had no idea that the energy was going to be like this. We haven't even gotten inside the venue yet. Social media is on fire. Every single feed that I have is completely full of people talking about how excited they are for the fights tonight. The sports bars are packed, and all they're talking about is which fights they're looking forward to the most, who their favorites are. There's guys in picking and betting and doing everything else. I mean, the atmosphere inside the venue is going to be absolutely insane.
It really is. Talking to Tom Wright yesterday, he said there's only about 20 seats left available in the Scotia Bank Centre. So it's a sold-out show in Halifax with a great card, great lineup of fighters who are just going to perform. It's there's a lot of no-loss records that are on the line that someone's going to lose, so they're going to be fighting hard to keep it.
Yep. I wrote an article for the Sports Journal talking about that just yesterday. A lot of people criticize this card for not having a lot of star power. I mean, people are used to the old days when every card had a Chuck Liddell and a Randy Couture and a 5-round title fight, and you only saw them a few times a year and you got super pumped for them. With 20 events a year and a couple of hundred fighters on the roster, those days are long gone. But if you look at this card, there is an enormous amount of depth. Like you said, there are undefeated fighters. There are fighters in the top 2, top 3 positions in their weight class. So the fights that happen here are going to be exceedingly competitive, and they're going to have an impact on the divisions. And I mean, just because people don't necessarily recognize the guys as household names doesn't mean that this isn't a fantastic card.
Absolutely. There's a couple of tough fighters, tough winners coming in, and contestants are coming in and fighting for the first fight outside the
Elias Theodoro, the Spartan out of Ontario, is undefeated and has long been known, at least in Canada, as probably one of the best 185-pounders not in the UFC. Now he is in the UFC, won his first fight, and is looking to take his spotless record out of tonight and on into his career in the UFC. Chad Laprise, also a tough winner at 170, has dropped to 155 pounds. So the guy was undefeated at 170, moving down to 155. Super excited to see what he's going to be able to do.
Yeah, that big weight cut could be detrimental for him for energy-wise, or it could be a way to shed some weight, maintain his strength, and gain a bit of speed.
He looked really good.
He did.
At the pre-fight press conference and at the weigh-ins, he looked focused, he looked comfortable, he didn't look like he had suffered too bad to make the weight. And I mean, he's a guy, he's very calm, he's very collected. I mean, he's the perfect guy to excel in this sport because he has the physical tools and he has the psychological, social, and spiritual tools to do it too. Everybody is excited for the Saffiedine MacDonald fight. Very, very interesting occurrence yesterday at the weigh-ins. The Canadian contingent, which there's 9 fighters, got enormous pop from the audience every time they walked up to the scale. But when Rory MacDonald and Tarec Saffiedine came in, it took a bit of a flip. The crowd received Tarec Saffiedine very, very warmly. And when MacDonald came in, he did get a fair amount of applause, but there were as many jeers and boos and shouts of "Go get him, Tarec." So the Canadian audience isn't necessarily behind Canada's MacDonald.
And that being the headlining fight, a Canadian boy who's doing extremely well moving up the ranks, you'd expect that Canada would be, we'd be all over cheering this guy on, but you're right, the jeers and the boos came out. And
I mean, MacDonald's had a bit of a hot and cold life with the audience because he's not known as the most exciting fighter, a very smart fighter, obviously a very talented fighter, but he doesn't always put on a flashy show. Tarec Saffiedine is a very fan-friendly fighter. He has just phenomenal striking, amazing kicks, very athletic, and MacDonald had a bit of a hiccup in his fight against BJ Penn a year or so ago, where people perceived his antics as showboating and disrespecting BJ Penn. And if he'd done that against a lesser fighter, he could have gotten away with it. But BJ Penn is above reproach, and his appearance to be insulting BJ is not something that's set well with fans, and they're not willing to forget that.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you say that he's not the most exciting fighter. He kind of sticks to his game plan, and I mean, he trains with GSP. And he trains with GSP, who was the same thing. He's a very calculated fighter. He went in to win. He didn't go in to throw a big haymaker and get the crowd going. He was there to win.
Yeah,
and he did it very well.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure part of it is his natural personality, because you can just tell he's such a focused person that he would probably have that approach anyway. But teaming up with Tarec Saffiedine and the folks at TriStar have just really allowed him to embrace that approach to the sport. And I mean, it's really what we want. I mean, fans want to see exciting fights, but I would rather see a fight that's exciting because the fighters are well matched and are still taking an intelligent game plan than two guys who are perhaps not well matched, or they're just going to go in there and sling leather and see who falls down first. So, and tonight I think we're going to get the former, because these fighters are very well matched, and they're all very accomplished and experienced mixed martial artists. It's going to be a great show.
Absolutely. I can't wait. This is Jock Hiltz and Boyd Sharpe with H4 TV.